All right, you've been watching the inaugural parade at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., and once President Trump speaks, we will bring that to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Justin Mormouth.
And I'm Emily McLeod, in for Ginger Gadsden. President Donald Trump now sworn in as the 47th Commander-in-Chief of the United States. In his inaugural address, he promised to bring the United States into a golden age of unity and prosperity.
It's history in the making, and News 6 anchor Matt Austin has been in D.C. all day witnessing the moment. He joins us now live. Matt.
Yeah, so you've been looking at pictures from the Capital One Arena, and just to give you a little idea of what it takes to get in there, folks got in there around 4 a.m. to start waiting in a line that wrapped around this city. So needless to say, most Floridians cannot handle a situation like that. We cannot be out in 20-degree weather all night braving the cold. So most of the Central Floridians who came here to watch the inauguration ended up in a hotel lobby bar. So I've been keeping in contact with dozens of Central Floridians who've made it there. Most of them tonight are getting their tuxes on and their dresses on, and they are waiting hours more in line to get into one of the three main balls taking place tonight where President Trump is supposed to make an appearance. Guys, back into the studio.
Matt, originally all of the Florida people, they were going to be in the same place on the National Mall, and you ended up having some go to the arena, others were at hotels. I mean, how did you make the decision on where you were going to stay for the day in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah, that's a good question. Logistically, it's very difficult to get around the city right now. Half of it is shut down. The Ubers won't even take you to half the places we want to go, which is right in the middle of the action. So we were able to get a really good spot inside the Capital One Arena, but if we went, we had to stay there all day long, and we couldn't get out. So we snuck in, got some interviews there, and then we really wanted to get across town to see how the majority of the Central Floridians who are here were going to be taking in that ceremony. And most of them are going to be in a hotel bar, I would imagine, tonight, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's brutally cold there, Matt. I can see the your breath. A lot colder there than here, obviously. You mentioned how difficult it is to get around. Is there any snow you're dealing with as well?
So we did deal with some snow last night, and it was kind of funny, you know, as Floridians, I'm not used to seeing my own breath, and my photographer, Anthony, is really not used to seeing snow. I want to show you a moment inside our cab last night as I saw him staring out the window intently. Here you go.
This is my first time
seeing snow.
36 years old. This is my first time seeing snow.
I'm so honored to get to see this with you.
You know,
I was watching you look out the window. So a pretty fun moment there with my photographer who's done a great job, Anthony Murdoch. And but it had its hazards. We were walking by a lady today out on the sidewalk. She slipped, broke her arm right in front of us, and an ambulance had to come and pick her up. So we had a little fun with it, but definitely some tips for people trying to navigate this city.
Weekend for you there, Matt. You had the group whose purses, they couldn't go in with them, and then someone falling on the ground from the snow. But it's
really cool, though, that Anthony got to see snow for the first time.
That is so sweet.
I'm glad you captured that, Matt. That was a really great moment.
Yeah.
Love that. We'll see you soon.
All right, Mother Nature isn't messing around this week. Snow, sleet, and rain could all be on the table for Florida.
Yeah, it just really depends on where you are. We have team coverage for you with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas and Samara Kokinas. And Jonathan starts us off with where we are currently. Jonathan, it's cold. It's cold right now.
You know, if he wanted to stay and see snow, he could have just hung out in Florida for a couple days and just drive 3 hours north, because they're going to get it big time up there. For us, most of Central Florida will see a cold rain tomorrow into Wednesday. We'll show you more on that in just 1 second. It was kind of a raw afternoon until the sun came out, and then it kind of helped feel a little bit better out there anyway. It's 50 right now in Orlando, 43 in Gainesville, 46 degrees in Ocala. We're in the low 50s along the Space Coast. You see some showers down closer to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. Some of this is going to try to slide up the Florida Peninsula overnight tonight, and as we get into tomorrow, we will really see things increase. Notice the flow, the white here on your screen. That's the cloud cover coming out of the Gulf of Mexico. That's our storm system system really starting to take shape, which will blast a lot of the deep south, including parts of Florida, with a lot of snow. Now, for tomorrow, for us, most of us will see a cold rain. That continues into Wednesday as well. That's why we've designated tomorrow an inconvenient weather day for rounds of a cold rain, scattered showers in the mix. It will be a very chilly afternoon again tomorrow. The snow potential and ice potential well north. For more on that, we're going to send things over to meteorologist Samara Kokinos.
Thank you, Jonathan. And as we take a look at the setup of the system, basically what we're looking at is deep South Texas, where we're going to see this area of low pressure really continue to form. And as it forms, we're going to start to see some snow and ice accumulations develop as we head into tonight and definitely into tomorrow. Really not too much in terms of accumulation right now, but we have a lot of upper level moisture moving over a lot of this cold air, and that's going to aid in the development of this type of precipitation that we're expecting to see. Now, the thing about the system is it's going to move on the southerly side of it. So what we're looking at over the next couple of days is the potential for snow across the northern portions of our panhandle, some sleet mixing in there, and then rain pretty much across central Florida. Notice that as we progress into Tuesday night, going into closer into Wednesday morning, a lot of that snow continues to stay well north of us. The sleet kind of gets a little bit closer, possibly even getting as close as Alachua County and maybe even Putnam County. So that's why we're continuing to see those winter storm warnings for those areas. But still, again, north of Marion County, I think maybe on the northernmost periphery, we could see a little bit of sleet in the mix. It wouldn't surprise me, but I am going to show you some record snowfall records here in parts of central Florida and North Florida. We'll talk about the potential to see some snow in the panhandle coming up in a few minutes, guys.
All right, Samara, thank you. President Trump wasting no time to enact stricter immigration policies. Several executive orders will declare a national emergency at the border and resume construction of the border wall.
Another seeks to end birthright citizenship. News 6 reporter Stephanie Rodriguez joins us now with a breakdown of the president's plan. Stephanie, you've been looking into this for us today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we heard today that the president is putting America first. That was what he said during his inauguration. He plans to sign 200 executive orders tonight shortly. President Trump is expected to sign actions to pull the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement and promote fossil fuels and mineral mining. One order would declare that it's federal policy to only recognize two biological sexes, male and female. And as we said, he plans to declare a national emergency at the southern border. That includes tasking the military with border enforcement, designating Latin American gangs and cartels as terrorist groups, shutting down refugee and asylum admissions, and restarting construction on the border wall. Trump also said he would put into motion a mass deportation effort to arrest and deport undocumented immigrants. CBS News reports that will begin tomorrow in major cities all around the country. Here's what the president said about it during his inauguration speech today.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
And he also wants to terminate birthright citizenship, which is guaranteed in the Constitution by the 14th Amendment. Now, even before these orders were going to be issued, that still hasn't happened. We're waiting for the president to do that shortly. Civil rights groups said that they prepared to challenge the president's actions in court, so we can expect a lot of lawsuits against many of the executive actions that he plans to put into place, especially that birthright citizen one, which I said, again, is covered by the 14th Amendment in the Constitution.
Absolutely. And during his campaign, he said, this is what I'm going to do on day one, and that is coming to fruition. All right.
That was a big talking point.
Yep, Stephanie Rodriguez, we appreciate it. We still have a lot coming up on News 6 at 6.
Vandalism of an historic Oviedo building casts a cloud for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The responses from the community and why it's bringing optimism for the museum's future.
And it's a classic college football matchup for the national championship tonight. The keys to victory as the Buckeyes and Irish look to settle the score. You're watching News 6 at 6, getting results for Lake Mary, Wilbur by the Sea, and all of Central Florida. We'll be right back.
This portion of the news is sponsored by Advent Health, helping the communities we serve to feel whole.
Stream News 6 whenever you want. Sponsored by T-Mobile. Watch news, weather, and special investigations on your time. You can even tune in to your favorite News 6 podcast. Download News 6 Plus to your smart TV now.
The Seminole County Sheriff's Office and the FBI want to find out who left a hateful message on a historic museum in Oviedo.
Yeah, caretakers of the historic Oviedo Colored Schools Museum found someone spray-painted racist language on the same weekend Central Florida celebrates Martin Luther King Jr. President of the museum says she was the first person to do something after the racist rhetoric was discovered Sunday. Now, a felony criminal mischief investigation is underway.
The museum has roots as a St. James AME church and a school for black students. Seminole County deputies painted over the graffiti, which is not protocol, but say it's just the right thing to do. Calling 800-423-8477 will let anyone with any information on this crime report it. You can report it anonymously to Crime Line. Thousands of dollars. If you get a tip, you may be eligible for cash reward of up to $1,000. Again, that number is 800-423-8477.
All right, let's get back to your forecast with meteorologist Jonathan Kegas. We have team coverage because of the historic nature of what we may be experiencing here in the next 24 to 48 hours. So lead us off, Jonathan. I know Samara will join you in a second.
She will, and she's going to talk about that historic nature. You're going to hear that historic word a lot. We don't use it lightly, but some snowfall records, all-time records, could fall in the state of Florida, and we will show you that coming up in just a few minutes with meteorologist Samara Kukinos. Right now, it does not look like much, but the storm that we are tracking that is going to bring central Florida a cold rain, maybe a little bit of sleet for our northern areas. We'll show you that in just 1 second as well, but the green representing the moisture getting going in parts of South Texas. It's going to skirt across the North Gulf Coast, bringing a lot of snow to places that don't typically see it, from coastal areas of Texas through Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and of course Florida. For more on some of those forecast snow totals, we are going to send it over to meteorologist Samara Kukinos.
You know, the probability for us to even be talking about snow just blows my mind here. So when we talk about the probability of seeing 1 inch of snowfall accumulation, I keep wanting to say rain because that's typically what we are talking about. Look at the rainbow of colors that we got going on across the state. So the majority of the darker colors indicate higher chances, but whenever you look closer back here to home, I just want to bring your attention here to this corner here. You do see part of northern Marion County on the kind of edge of that color. That's a very low chance of it happening, but we could see some sleet. We could. But when you look back in the panhandle, look at this. You get numbers like 98 to 100% chance of seeing at least 1 inch of snowfall on the ground. Now, when we look at records, historical data, our all-time single storm snowfall record for the state, 4 inches. That was in Milton, Florida in 1954. Pensacola has its own snowfall record, 3 inches, set back in February 16th of 1895. With this system, forecasts have been calling from anywhere between 3 to 5, and some forecasts have been saying up to 8 inches of snowfall in the panhandle. So we very well could see both of these records either tied or even broken. That'll be something that, of course, we continue to pinpoint. But looking at the snowfall prediction through Wednesday morning at 5 a.m., it puts it anywhere from 2 inches in Houston up to 4 and 8 inches. And when you get closer to the Pensacola area, so definitely we're going to be watching this. Now, if you get up to that 3-inch mark, what's the probability of that? Well, it takes the probability out of northern central Florida and brings it back into the panhandle, where we see chances anywhere between 24 and up to 45% for us to see 3 inches of snowfall accumulating on the ground. Jonathan, that's wild.
It is, yeah, and you mentioned it. The snow is not coming to central Florida, but it is going to be a very cold rain. Tomorrow is an inconvenient weather day. We've designated that because it's just going to be kind of ugly outside if you're trying to do anything. There's 5, 6 o'clock on your Tuesday morning when Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos likely is going to be pointing some light to moderate rain across the region. There's 4 to 5 o'clock on your Tuesday evening, and I don't think it's an all-day rain tomorrow, just kind of in and out of these scattered showers and downpours. Look closely to the top of your screen, though. You see the blue coming back in. It's not every day we have to add the legend that has the mixed precipitation and the snow on there, but nonetheless, here we are, and you see that working through. So that's 5 o'clock in the morning now on Wednesday, and it looks like this could be the heaviest rain or most widespread rain through central Florida, with the darker yellows indicating the heavier intensity. And then here we go. As some colder air tries to catch up with this round, would not be surprised if from Palm Coast getting in toward Lake Catherine and then towards Ocala, certainly Denellen has a shot into Fort McCoy and to McIntosh, the opportunity for some sleet pellets. You don't know that if there's something bouncing off the ground. It's not hail, that's in thunder. precip sleet there in pink. That quickly then goes away as the system itself works its way back out into the Atlantic Ocean. So again, the super impactful stuff that you're not going to be able to drive is going to be Gainesville and points north. For us, we might just see a couple of sleet pellets, maybe as far south as the Villages. In terms of how much rain is coming our way, anywhere from 1/2 of an inch to an inch of rain on a widespread scale, with the round of rain coming in on Tuesday and then that secondary push that we just saw on Wednesday. So a decent amount of rain working down the pipeline. For that, here's a look at your pinpoint accurate forecast.
Sponsored by Strata Air Conditioning and Heating. AC emergency? You ought to call Strata.
Temperatures tomorrow off to a colder start again. Mid-30s in Ocala. We're at 39 in the Villages. Rain chances back up to 50% for your commute into work tomorrow. We're at 44 in Kissimmee, 46 degrees in Holopah. Tomorrow afternoon, highs are going to be back into the mid to upper 50s. Again, rain chances at 90% through the afternoon. I don't think it's a total washout, so to speak. We're going to be in and out of scattered showers, but again, it's going to continue to be on that repeat setting. So inconvenient weather days coming up both Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, especially early on Wednesday. That's when we get that cold driving rain and maybe a few sleet pellets mixing in Marion County. Rain chances down to 40%. I think everybody doesn't like this stuff. Rooting for next week, guys. We're back into the low 70s, guys.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Let's go back to Washington, D.C.
So now the work begins. We won, but now the work begins. We have to bring them home.